I mean, this is just fantastic. What a light! Huh? This is just great. Here I have a pair of LED lights, and my plan is to install those into my Volkswagen Golf citystromer. Today I am just using the original bulbs that was installed from the factory, so we have this kind of yellow light on it. But I mean, I am pretty satisfied with it because that is mostly how those cars looked back in the days, 80s and 90s. So therefore I have decided to use them for a while, but I have of course looked a lot on those lights here. And why? Well, there's two reasons. First of all, it might be some better light. And then maybe the most important thing that maybe not is so important in the end there is that this will probably extend my range on this car. So if you haven't seen that, this car is converted to electric, or actually it was electric from the factory, but I have just modernized the drivetrain to it. So we have a Nissan Leaf drive unit inside of it. However, I will do some calculations in the end of this video and see how many more kilometers we will get out of using those LED lights instead of using those old halogen lights. I'm not really sure that we are going to gain so much, but I mean, come on. It's fun, and it's also good to know how much it will actually get you there after you have changed those lights out. So let's take a look at the box here first and see what we come up with here. First of all, I paid, let me zoom in here a bit, or zoom out, I paid 1,752 crowns, around 160 euros, so they were actually pretty expensive, but they are road legal, as you can see here. So this is not some kind of crap that you just buy and throw into your car. It's meant to be and used together with your car, so you don't have to remove this when you are going to do the yearly inspection on your car, that at least we have here in Sweden. So yeah, some specifications here, and this is the most important thing: 18 watts. That's much better than 60/55 watts that we have on those old halogen bulbs. So you have 55 watts on the low beam and 60 watts on the high beam on each side, of course. Light color 5800, that's pretty white, not too bluish, and that's great. And up to 230% more light, I guess they mean by that number. 3000 hours and EP rating 54, and that's pretty much standard, I guess. Nothing special at all, just some good LED lights here. I hope they are good anyway. So let's open up the box and see what we find inside of it. So we have a box in the box. All right. So I see some fans here. I will see if I can get the connector out. Here it comes. So here is a close-up on it, and we have the high beam LED there, and we have the low beam under this shield here, or over this shield here. So the light from the low beam LED are going to be reflected up into the reflector and then out. And we turn it around, and you will see that we have exactly the same stuff going on here. So the high beam nearest the connector and the low beam under this shield. And then we have this cooling fins here, and it's made out of aluminium. And we have this fan. I think that this will be on all the time. It will not be controlled by any thermostat or something. And then, of course, the connector. And this will be a plug and play directly into your old harness that you have in your car. So here is an ordinary halogen bulb just for comparison. So you can see that we have the same type of connector here. So there you have it, 3 pins, exactly the same. So let's go and install it. So I will start with the right headlight. And one of the problems here will be that the sealing around or into the headlight here will probably not be as good as it was from the beginning, due to that big cooling stuff that was hanging in the back of the light. So I already had this kind of bluish light installed to it, and it will then look a little more white, but now it will be even more white, or a little blue maybe. So let's replace that. What is this? Is it possible to... Oh, so this plastic stuff is just... Oh, now I see. I could read the instruction and then... Oh, this was just perfect, guys. Look. This is why you should read the manual first. So now I could go on and just throw this on. But I will see if I like the bulbs before I cut this. So, but you got the idea, I guess. I will just now do a small hole here and push this on this frame or light, and then it will be pretty much airtight again. But however, let's go and install it. Oh no, I also know. Sometimes I'm so stupid. Here we have it. And now just let's slide in this light. Oh, it fits so nice. And then it's really easy. Just plug and play. And now we are ready to try this LED light out. Make sure that this fan will be free, of course, so you don't have any cables or other stuff that will hook up this or get into this fan here. Take out the light and turn on the ignition. So I have to say that the LED light is much sharper than this halogen light, and that's also expected. We can see that both sides still have that perfect angle here. So it's easy to see that the bulb is fitted correctly into the socket. You also see that on the halogen side here. So what happens there when you do a bad installation of a halogen light into those sockets is that you will have this more badly shaped profile. So now I have just turned the bulb in the socket, and yeah, you can also have this if you have a cheaper bulb that are badly produced. That will also cause this bad light image, but this one is the correct one. So that's what you will look for if you decide to swap your lights out. You will have this sharp and clear light image. So let's go on here and change out the other halogen bulb to LED instead. But before I do that, I will first measure how many amps this LED light will take compared to the old halogen light. And after that I can calculate how many watts I have saved. And after that I can then calculate how many more kilometers I will gain on one trip or one discharge session. So yeah, let's do that first. So my plan is now just to remove the fuses. There is one fuse for each and every headlight. So I will just remove that and measure the amps from the fuse box. And hopefully you can see it. So we now have 4.8 amps at the halogen side. I have to lift up that relay a little bit. So there we have the LED side. So 1.37 amps. And now we just have to measure the voltage. Just have to change one very important thing. It's so easy to forget. So it's important to change this plug here, because if I don't do that and measure voltage, I will just blow the fuse inside of the multimeter here. So, and we have 14.1 volts over the battery. So now we have the numbers to do the calculations. So now it's done, and I have to say that I am super happy with the result. So let's look at the light image one more time, just to see if they are looking the same. And yes, they are. So here is the low beam, and there is the high beam. So I am really happy with this. Let's take it for a short test drive here. So we have a short straight part of the road here, so I will just go over to that one and put on the high beam. But we try it right now. High beam, low beam. High beam, low beam. So high, low, high, low, high. And I mean, this is just fantastic. What a light! Huh? This is just great. So this is the look from the inside of the car. But I just hold you a little bit on the outside so we don't have any strange reflections going on. And there is some fog, you can see that. So now it's time for low beam. Holy, yeah. So much better than expected. So I will definitely stay with those LED lights. Just perfect. So we are having the 2nd August today, and now the days are getting shorter and shorter really fast, so it's great to have this option now when the autumn starts to come here. So let's go in and do the calculations for you guys. Okay, so the total capacity is and I plan to use as maximum as 45 kilowatt hours. And I think that I will use or have maybe 70 kilometers per hour. Traveling time is 5 hours, and distance traveled 350 kilometers. The LED light was drawing 19.4 watts, and the halogen light was drawing 68 watts. And now we have to times this by 2, and that's 136 watts, and the LED are consuming 38.8 watts. So we will now save 136 minus, let's set the 0 there, 38.8 watts will be 97.2 watts saved. So now we have to multiply that number by the time, and that's 5 hours. And this will now give us 480 watt hours, 486 watt hours. Alright, so we know that this car is consuming 1.3 kilowatt hours per every 10 kilometers. And we now have to divide that by 10, and that will leave us with 130 watt hours per every kilometer that we are now driving. And then we can take those 486 watt hours that we have saved and divide that by 130, and that will give us a number at 3.74 kilometers of extended range to this car with those LED lights that I now have installed on a triple like this. So, well, that is maybe not so much, but I mean, there is some savings, but the big thing here is the light itself. It was much better than I expected. I hope you could see that in that night shot that I did there. So let's set those numbers in some perspective here. You will be able to charge your phone around 20 times if you do that with those saved 486 watt hours. And if you do this trip 10 times, you will then also be able to take a pretty long hot shower. That's not too bad, but I mean, that is in 10 trips like this. 50 hours of use to save one hot shower. So, well, the savings are not that big at all. So let's now pretend that the energy price is around 1 Swedish crown for every kilowatt hour. Well, then you actually need to travel 1,214 kilometers just to gain those money back that you paid for those LED lights. Well, that is not worth it at all, but the light those LED lights will give you are definitely worth it. Alright, thank you so much for watching this one, and I really hope I see you next time. Take care and goodbye.